Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung, a pro wrestling podcast. Friday Night SmackDown recap, December 12th, 2025. Joining me is my co-host, WCW veteran, Florida Championship Wrestling veteran, author of Looking Up at the Lights. I am talking about no other than Robbie Idol. What's going on, my friend?
What's happening, KG?
Man, not a whole lot. Trying to stay warm. Freaking negative 30 to 35 degrees tonight with the windshield, man. Sucks.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I had a beard for a few years, and I shave it off every few years because my face gets irritated, right? But my dumb ass, when I shave it off for some reason, it's always during the wintertime. And I cuss myself, like, why? As I said, we're talking about Friday Night SmackDown, and Robbie, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Tonight wasn't the night for SmackDown, in my opinion. There was a lot, and we're going to get into it. But yeah, I was not a big fan of tonight's episode. What about you?
It had its moments. So, I mean, there was good and there was bad.
Right. Well, and the thing is this was kind of this was the go home show for Saturday night main event, which is, I think is going to end up being the biggest Saturday night main event in the history since WWE started doing Saturday night main events way back in the 80s. Of course, reason being John Cena's final match. And tonight just didn't lead. It didn't give me that excitement for tomorrow night. Obviously, I am excited about tomorrow night just because of what it's going to be, but this didn't make me even more excited. And let's get right into it. Started off like we start off always with a lot of yapping. Cody Rhodes addressed the fallout from him and Drew McIntyre, the parking lot attack. Rhodes was frustrated, and he revealed a letter from McIntyre's lawyer claiming Drew would not return to what he called an unsafe environment. Cody ended up just tearing up the letter. Then, leads into the Obafemi appearing in person on SmackDown for the first time. He stood face to face with Rhodes. Of course, they're facing tomorrow night, Saturday night's main event. Your thoughts on this segment?
Of course, here we go. We're going to keep the feud going with Drew, which it's time to move on. But when Obafemi came out, I actually thought he held his own. I actually thought he did really good in the ring, and either somebody worked really well with him on promos or he's been doing well. I mean, he held his own. He did really well on the promo. He did well.
Right.
The big takeaway from my point, I thought he was taller than Rhodes, a lot taller than Rhodes. But there really wasn't that much of a height difference.
No.
As far as like his promo, he definitely held his own there.
Yeah. Now, the Saturday night main event, which is tomorrow night, it's around John Cena. And, mostly that's what the talk is about. John Cena versus Gunther. But I'm going to be honest with you. I am actually looking forward to this match between Cody Rhodes and Obafemi. I really am. I want to see how well he performs with someone like Cody Rhodes, because, I mean, look, tomorrow night's a big deal, man. Nerves. A lot of these younger men and women who are on NXT that's going to have opportunity to be on Saturday night main event tomorrow night. I have to imagine nerves is going to play a role in their matches. I don't care how many times they performed at NXT in front of that crowd. This is another level tomorrow night. Or am I wrong with that? I mean, you've been there.
Right. No, it is another level, but now it's, because I've heard there's talk about him coming up from, NXT, bringing him up to the main roster, same like Sol Ruka. So, but I guess Sol's also probably been in front of a bigger crowd maybe than Obafemi. as far as like certain matches and stuff like that, you know, because she was on with a few of the women's stuff where they pushed them. So she's probably worked a little bit bigger crowds and stuff. It's time to, if you're looking to move up, this is the time to perform. You know, the kid that I really think, and we'll get there, and I'll talk about him, but we'll see if hopefully Obafemi holds his own, and they bring him up. They're going to bring him up.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Is tomorrow night, because of what tomorrow night is about John Cena's retirement, but it's also kind of the theme of it is that ruthless aggression, that showing people what you have, right? Because it's basically what John Cena did against Kurt Angle his first night with WWE. Because of this, is tomorrow night a make it or break it for these NXT stars? In other words, if they don't do well for whatever reason tomorrow night, do you think that's going to deeply impact their career with WWE and them coming up to the main roster?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I think it'll, hinder some of it if you underperform. It either going to delay or you're going to be in NXT the rest of your career, and go from there. But I would think all three of the, the people that they're bringing up, well, and the ones a tag team, but I would think they're all going to hold their own and perform well.
You know what? I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to wait till we get there, but I'm going to disagree with you a little bit about one person. I'll explain why. Next, we go to backstage. The United States champion, Dragunov, was interviewed and made it clear that he wanted Ciampa tonight for a one-on-one with no outside interference. Dragunov said Ciampa needed to learn a lesson about honor, and he planned on teaching it himself. That led directly to this match. Ciampa against Dragunov, man. This, for me, was undoubtedly the match of the night. Holy shit, what a match these two had. Unfortunately, there was outside interference, but Dragunov was still able to retain that title. But, man, what a match that was. After the match, DIY continued to assault Dragunov until Carmelo Hayes rushed to the ring and cleared house, making a save. Man, Carmelo Hayes got a pop tonight.
Yes.
That I was happy for him. I like Carmelo Hayes. Talk to me about the match. And talk to me about what you think about Carmelo Hayes. Do you think he's coming into his own? Do you think that he is ready to go to that next level as far as being that major baby face for WWE or SmackDown?
The match was good. I mean, it looked stiff. A lot of stuff. I mean, you wonder, because there was a lot of slaps across the face, and you just wonder, like, both of them, are they just like, okay, I don't feel comfortable throwing a punch, or my punch isn't that good, and here's what we're going to do is just slap each other, slap the shit out of each other in the face. Other than that stuff, I mean, the rest of the stuff, match was good. Could have done without all the slaps to the face. I'd have rather seen you try to throw a punch.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I think the slapping added that intensity because they were these slaps were landing, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
And it was a diff match. They beat the shit out of one another. Matter of fact, there was color, and I don't think there was meant to be color. I think this was accidental color, but it added to just how hard hitting this match was. And this is my thing, because I want to talk about this, but you're bringing it up. I think it made sense, though, that it was like that. And I'll tell you why. We have Ciampa, who has been just frustrated, been chasing Dragunov, right? Dragunov has been, I look at it as ducking him, and now he got his shot. Well, Dragunov was pissed off because of Ciampa constantly starting shit, interfering. So there was a lot of frustration there that needed to get out in this match. That's why I think it made sense. Go ahead.
Okay. I give you that, but you to a point. So you, even if you're not comfortable throwing a punch, I would have, I guarantee those two, both of them, if they'd have thrown those, they would have landed and they would have rocked each other with elbows and stuff. Like, I'd rather have seen them throwing elbows.
Right.
I mean, to an extent, I agree with you for the slaps. And then you would say, okay, I'm frustrated to the point, okay, I slap you 2-3 times like that. And now I start throwing those forearms to, like to the neck and stuff, it would have made more sense, but they did what they did. The match, probably out of all the matches tonight, that was the match of the night. As far as like Carmelo goes, I think, he's starting to come, like the way they brought him up, and he was a heel and stuff, and now going as a baby face, I think he's, kind of getting over and stuff. And just some of the matches he's had in the last couple of weeks have been just really good matches and showcasing his stuff. And I think he's even like stepped it up even a little more than what he was in NXT. So, he's just, looks better than what he was. And he was good in NXT. And now he's like a couple steps above that.
Yeah. And this is going to truly tell you how I felt about SmackDown. By saying this was match of the night, and I'm just being honest with you, that wasn't a high bar to reach amongst the other matches, in my opinion. And we'll get there. Next, we go to Jade Cargill, who was confronted by Mission in a tense face-to-face segment. Mission questioned the hypes around Cargill and made it clear she was not intimidated by Jade's power or presence. Jade fired back, saying she was done being talked about and was ready to dominate anyone who put her in front of her. They were supposed to have a match. As Mission was headed to the ring, Jade basically attacked her, went to the ring, was ready to cut that promo. Misha's music hit. Misha comes down with a kendo stick. This is where I had to shake my head. So then Jade runs to her. Misha beats the shit out of her with a kendo stick. And what does Misha do? She takes the kendo stick and drops it right in front of Jade Cargill and then walk away to get the table. I was expecting Jade to attack her with that kendo stick. She didn't. Instead, she hit Misha from behind when Misha was trying to get the table. Now, my favorite part about this was, the fans, we want tables. As Jade acted like she was about to pull the table out, she heard the fans cheering. She pushed it back in to give you a fuck you to the fans, and then basically dominated and had her way with Misha. The segment ended with Jade saying she wants more competition, that she's that bitch. Ultimately, I could have went without this. Your take?
Yeah, I mean, if the way they did it, I guess we're trying to showcase Jade. We've talked about it on past shows. I mean, but they're kind of keeping her, to a minimum. At least they're holding, like I said, her promos are not good. So at least they're keeping those very short. And basically, now we're going to see the same, like repetitive, like we did with Becky, and basically I'm that bitch. So that's going to be the new motto for, Jade. So unless they're working with her, trying to push her to bring her up to speed,
right.
Hard to say, and at least keep, like I said, keeping the promos to a minimum, kind of trying to make her that monster and stuff, but like we've talked about in past, you bring up maybe somebody from NXT or, a local talent, you're kind of you're almost going to the point of burying your own talent by putting her through like this now. Right. And you're putting, like, because Michin was one of those people that was getting a push. Now you're gonna squash her. You kind of squished Tiffany. You squished BFAB. In either bring people from local, like people they love the exposure, or bring somebody from NXT. Same thing. They love the exposure, but you're you're crushing your own talent that you're trying to push.
Yeah, I've been saying this on the podcast. Bring local talent to get them exposure, and that way you can build JDB this monster. Now, you mentioned a name that I was going to bring up again, which is B-Fab. Now, I noticed tonight that B-Fab was not there. Now, her and Mishin are together, right? And I noticed that B-Fab wasn't there. I really believe that they're going to do a little storyline with Mishin and with Jade. But ultimately, what this is going to lead to is something with B-Fab. I think that they're going to try to rebuild B-Fab and not a big rebuild in a short time to add another layer of the storyline with Mishin that's going to end up with Jade and B-Fab having some type of a feud. If they do this, obviously creative is listening to me because I've been saying that they need to repackage B-Fab and have her as someone that is a real challenge to Jade. I don't think that Jade should drop the title to B-Fab. I think Tiffany should have the title brought back to her at some point. And speaking of Tiffany, it has been heavily rumored that she's going to be back for the Royal Rumble, which, can you believe that in about a month and a half at this point, Royal Rumble's here, man. And the Royal Rumble is the road to WrestleMania already. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, crazy think, another week and a half and it's Christmas. I mean, It's crazy too. This year just flew by. So it's,
Absolutely. We go to another backstage segment. Javon Evans being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. Then The Miz interrupts, upset that he didn't have a match scheduled for Saturday night main event. Evans challenges Miz to a match later that night, and Miz accepted, openly threatened to injure Evans so he wouldn't make it to the next to tomorrow night. It was what it was. Javon Evans, he's the guy I want to talk about a little bit. But did this do anything for you at all?
No. I mean,
it was filler.
Yes, it was filler. I'm probably going to catch some flack for this or whatever. Okay. I mean, I think The Miz has run his course. Unfortunately, I just think he has run his course.
Right. But I give props to The Miz, though.
Oh, yeah, I give him
because the Miz, he knows, I think he realizes this, and he is there willingly, at least from what we could tell. We're not there to see what's happening backstage, but it seems like he's there willingly to help put this next generation over. So I give him props for that. And we'll get to that, to talk about that as well at that match. Next, the Wyatt Six, they made their way to the ring with Uncle Howdy, Eric Owens, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gracie, and Nikki Cross. And they tried to deliver this chilling promo. They were interrupted by the MFTs on Titantron, where they challenged the Wyatt Six for the tag titles on next week's episode. Man, look, I'll be honest with you. The Wyatt Six versus the My Family Tree MFTs, this should be something that excites us, but it doesn't at all. I didn't give two shits about this segment, and I'm just being honest with you. I think part of the problem is Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, whatever you want to call the man, instead of trying to come into his own spookiness or whatever you want to call it, the problem is I think he's trying to be Bray Wyatt, and he can't be Bray Wyatt. He needs to find who Uncle Howdy is.
Totally agree. You stole what I was gonna say. And you saw it tonight for sure. Like him trying to be like Bray. And it was like, it's just not cutting it, No. I mean, if he could find his like niche and be, Uncle Howdy and pull that off, a chilling way or whatever way, I think part of the problem too is we all know it's Bo Dallas, and I think we all kind of remember the Bo Dallas character, and it's just, now that he's Uncle Howdy, it's just not cutting it, So I
Right.
think that's part of the problem too.
And last week, Solo did not do Uncle Howdy any favor by bringing up Bo Leave, because it just reminded us exactly who he is. And I mean, even his laugh, he is so badly wanting to just get Bray Wyatt's laugh as well. And it's just and I can't speak for other fans. Look, they get a pop, they do. And you can't deny that. But for me, it just it falls dead for me. It really does.
Totally agree. Also for me, I just, he needs to either find, something or do it his way, unless creative saying try to be like like Bray, where you would just say make your own character, make Uncle Howdy yours.
Right.
Take it. Don't what you would think creative would see, okay, you're trying to be like Bray, it's not cutting it. Right. I mean, if unless we're giving creative a little too much credit saying that you should see this, because obviously they're not seeing that. You would think somebody would say something.
Right. You
would hope they would. Let's put it that way. You'd hope they would.
Yeah. Oftentimes, and you've brought it up, they get people creative who aren't wrestling people, right?
Right.
I want to ask you about someone, though, who wasn't a wrestling guy. He became one of the hit writers. And I'm talking about, God damn it, his name slipped my brain. It was during the Attitude Era. His dad was
Russo?
Huh?
Vince Russo?
No. His dad was an actor in the 70s who unfortunately took his life. I'll get this. I was gonna drive me nuts. Who his guy is? Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. wasn't a wrestler guy, right? He wasn't. He was an actor, and he got brought into WWE, and he was one of the hit writers there during the Attitude Era. Do you think, in your opinion, was Freddie Prinze Jr. the exception to that rule, or do you think that he didn't do a great job either?
I think he was an exception because I think he had a little bit of a background of it, like being a wrestling fan. So I think he had, more so than your guys that you're bringing in just from TV, from whatever shows you're bringing, drama, comedy, whatever. So I think Freddie, he had a little bit of a background because I think he was a wrestling fan. So I'd give him a little, that he kind of held his own for being, a wrestling fan at least. Because I don't think even these guys, some of the guys that they're bringing in from TV are even wrestling fans.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that, Robbie, is because I've often wondered, because we were talking about creative, are they on cruise control? What's going on with them here lately? I often wonder if he was willing to come back, if it actually helped the product, or was it one of those things that, look, Freddie Prinze Jr. back during the Attitude Era, look at the people he was surrounded by back then that was helping the product as well. You had, I hate to bring up Russo's name, but he was there. You had Vince McMahon there, and you had so many other people there that I feel like may have been helping Freddie Prinze Jr. and guiding him. So I wonder, without that strong support now, if the product would be as good under his writing.
Hard to say, because I know, granted, social media, whatever, not hearing good things about Triple H.
Right.
I'm just not, for creative reasons, whatever. I'm just not hearing it, which kind of surprises me,
Yeah, but in all fairness, though, look, a lot of these people who are talking shit about Triple H are also the ones that are saying that they want Vince McMahon back. And we all know damn well that if, I don't think it'll ever happen, but if that happened within 6 months to a year, they'll be shitting on Vince again, saying that, he's out of touch. They need to, find somebody else. These people, when it comes to internet fans, I take it with a grain of salt, because these people I don't think they could ever be satisfied. I just don't. I think they're there to bitch.
Right. But I mean, you do kind of see, certain talent.
Right.
Also, like, was on a roll, and all of a sudden it's just hit a brick wall. So you wonder how, it does he have a hand in that it hits that brick wall?
But what doesn't make sense, it's WW interruption, Robbie. What doesn't make sense about that, though, is why is that happening on the main roster versus NXT? I mean, NXT is Triple H's baby. Unless he's not involved in NXT that much anymore.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny because people will ask you questions and stuff, and you go, I can't answer it. I'm not there. I don't know. Right. And the people I know that are there, I don't talk to them.
Right.
Right. And if you do talk to them, it's very briefly, and you're not saying, hey, is it really true that 40 minutes and you got to know every move for 40 minutes,
True.
But, so I, like the people I do know, I basically, I'm not talking to them about any of that stuff. And it's just very briefly that you get to talk to them, just schedule wise, time wise, and everything like that. It's just weird though. Who knows if he's, doesn't have his hand in there as much. I mean, but you look at stuff, and I mean, not siding with anybody, but it is funny now that Vince is gone on certain stuff. Like, now you've got, it's almost like every other sport now, in the ring, you got Slim Jim, you got this, you got all this advertisement. Like, and if you watch other, see now guys with uniforms, and they got whatever on their uniforms and stuff. And where they said, Vince kept that stuff out of the ring. And
yeah, I think that's a TKO thing, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, I'm wondering, and I guess everybody's trying to, make as much money as they can.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a TKO thing. I absolutely think that Vince is probably losing his shit. Next, we go to, God, this match here. Lash Legend against Alexa Bliss. Now let's talk about Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, the way she dressed had me cracking up. Was she wearing John Cena's jorts tonight? I'm like, and then something else she did, and this was, I don't believe this was purposely done for camera, because the camera was panning away from Charlotte when she did this. But you heard Charlotte say, "Is that Billy? Hey, Billy, can you see me?" Like, what's going on here?
Right. I want to. Who told Charlotte, hey, that's a good look, right?
Right. Unfortunately, that was the only good thing about this segment. This match was the drizzling shit. And for me to say that, I normally don't say stuff like, I usually say, yeah, it's a good match. I just wasn't invested in it. This match was the drizzling shit. Lash Legend, shit everywhere, man. She, did you see that clothesline she attempted on Alexa Bliss? It was terrible.
Yes.
Terrible. Amongst so many other things in this match. That was not good. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to put that on Lash Legend, because I've watched Alexa Bliss enough times in the ring to know that she is that good in the ring. Right. This was all Lash Legend in my opinion, man. And it was terrible. I was not impressed by her whatsoever.
Yeah, you're wondering, okay, is it, now that you've gotten brought up, and is there like too much spotlight on you and you just can't handle it, or you're in the spotlight and you're starting to choke, I mean, it's just, hard to say with it, who knows where, where it's going, but yeah, it was bad. And, and instead of Lash, I mean, I kind of like your nickname for her, Lance. So
yeah, right. Next, we go to a match that I want to talk about. Javon Evans against The Miz. And yes, Javon Evans did pick up the win. Man, Robbie, I'm going to be honest with you. And I've said, I know the last time I seen Javon Evans on the main roster, I made the comment that something was missing that night for him, right? Tonight, I felt the same way. He did not perform at the level that he performs on NXT. He just doesn't, in my opinion. And that makes me wonder, is he ready for tomorrow night? Is he ready to be brought up to the main roster? Because he's not performing at the same level on the main roster that he does on a regular basis at NXT. So that leads me to the next question of, is nerves just getting to him too much? And that itself can make him not ready for the main roster.
I mean, and you got to take in consideration he's 21.
Right.
I mean, I don't know where, his background from, like, when he started wrestling or anything like that. I'm wondering, like you saying that. So I think part of it's his age, the 21. The other part, and you would hope when I say this, and I don't, not because the kid's to me, he's very talented.
He is talented. That's why.
What I'm saying is, where I was going with it is he kind of, like they're giving him a lot of hype, and are you starting to buy your hype and thinking, okay, I belong here now, which now you kind of hit cruise control. The other thing is, he does a lot of tag team stuff. Wonder, is he not comfortable not having that second person with him? I mean, you wonder if it's a combination of all three. Is the spotlight getting a little too bright, and you're just starting to catch up? You're making you a little bit more nervous and stuff. You wonder if it's all the above.
Right. Well, and that's why I didn't say, I never mentioned that I thought that he wasn't talented, because he's extremely talented.
No, I know that, but
that's why a good comparison though, and that's why I said he's not performing on the main roster like he does on NXT. He's obviously comfortable at NXT. I'm sure he's more comfortable with the talent that he has to work with on NXT because he knows them versus the main roster. But I mean, this match, believe me, it was nowhere near as bad as last Legends match. But this match, I was just not impressed.
Yeah, there was a couple things that were off.
Right. Throughout the show, we had multiple video packages and tributes honoring John Cena's legendary career. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The one thing I am looking forward to John Cena having this last match is not having to fucking watch these goddamn video packages anymore, because it's basically the same package if you've been watching it over and over and over again. I'm like, my God, I'm sick of them.
Right. You would think with as many, as long as he's been there, you'd be able to come up with different stuff.
Right.
Different matches or something.
Right. And it always makes me kind of laugh a little bit whenever, the package comes on and they're talking about, the number one question I get asked is, who I picked for my last match? And he says, the person is not being picked. You're going to work hard for, but no, they are being picked. WWE's picking, and I'm sure you picked as well. And so I kind of get a little bit about that. Next, we go to the main event. The Terror Twins, Damien. Well, let me back up. Actually, I skipped something. So we seen backstage Rhea Ripley preparing for a match, and Nia Jax and Lance Legend comes and they talk their shit. And Rhea said that, you know what? Whenever myself and Io Sky wants those titles, we're going to take them. Damian Priest came in and kind of talked to her, made sure she was okay.
Jade Cargill.
And then Jade Cargill came in.
They just had a stare down.
basically. Then we go to the match. The Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, take on Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. Dude, I don't know what the fuck was up with Zelina Vega tonight, but you want to talk about, at least three of them, three moves
Right.
that she just botched. One of the moves, which she was trying to do her finisher, which when they landed the first attempt, I'm like, holy crap, Zelina's back's broke. That looked terrible and
Yeah.
scary. I was glad to see that they were both okay. Um, she did do her finisher on Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley kicked out of it. I guess the first person to kick out of that particular finisher. Um, Ultimately leaving Rhea Ripley to the Riptide on Zelina Vega for the 1-2-3. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley pick up the win. Will this be the end of this oh so boring feud between Damian Priest and Aleister Black? Because it's obvious they're not going where I thought they were going, which was Damian Priest joining Aleister Black. That's what I wanted. If they're not going there, for the love of Christ, let this be finished.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I mean, it's the only reason why he got a pop at the end was because of Rhea. It's just time to go different ways with these guys, and
Right.
see what you can do. But yeah, I mean, Selena was way off, like this was not even like with some of the moves like Rhea tried to go with and stuff, they were kind of stumbling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was just off, I don't know if she was like nervous working with Rhea or whatever, but it was not good,
No,
I mean,
no,
it was a rough night for her.
it was. And, you would think, look, last time Rhea and Zelina Vega had a match together, 1-on-1, it was in Puerto Rico. And, man, that was one hell of a match that he had. And so I was expecting this to be damn good tonight with these two in it. And it just wasn't. Part of it was like, is Zelina drunk tonight? Like, what's going on? I can't imagine. I personally, I mean, I get from the interviews that I've done that even a lot of your bigger stars, even when they're going down to the ring, they're nervous until the crowd gets behind them and the adrenaline's going, right? You're nervous. But I would have to expect that it'd be the same thing for Zelina, that she's been on the main roster and the professional wrestler long enough that those nerves would kind of leave her, especially facing someone that she's familiar with, like Rhea Ripley.
Right. I mean, it usually can't speak for everyone, but usually when you like, for me, when I was, you're always nervous. Um, you know, Before the matches, it's just normal. Even like talking to some of the big stars, and they said, when you're not nervous, time to go. But usually once you did that first move, whatever, those are gone. You don't know, you really don't hear the crowd. You don't, now you're just focused on what's happening in the ring. And I would think, them being pushed as much and more time and being in bigger matches and stuff. Okay, I get the nervousness, but like that first move, you should be fine after that,
Right.
and, basically, like I said, after the first move and everything, you did not hear the crowd.
Right.
You may see them afterwards when you're, down or whatever for a second or whatever, and you're like, okay, crowd's out there and stuff, or you heard them, but you weren't nervous anymore. You were just focused on doing what you needed to do in the ring. And I would think that would be them, because they've been in bigger matches and pushed and stuff like that. So it's just second nature to them.
Right. Look, I'll be honest with you. I give SmackDown a C. And look, if it wasn't for the Dragunov Ciampa match, it'd be getting a C minus. It really would. I mean, I just did not enjoy SmackDown at all tonight. What about you?
Like I said, I didn't mind a couple of the matches. I mean, the Dragunov. I guess I like the for the most part, the Miz and Javon Evans, because I like watching the kid work. As far as like usually you always look forward to the women's working, but you know, for some odd reason they were all off tonight. You know, it just whatever. I mean, I'm not saying Alexa, but you know, with Legend and you know even Vega and stuff like that, they just it was rough. It was a rough night for them. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you give it tonight?
I'd give him a C.
Let's see. Now, that makes you this question, and it's going to sound pretty shitty, like I'm being an asshole, but I got to ask this. Is it possible that Lash Legend has just been near Nia Jax too much, and she's because that was some Nia Jax shit tonight in the ring that we've seen. Just be honest with you.
Let's hope not. You know, let's hope not. But
Because look,
you know,
and I'm not trying to be an asshole because look, remember, I'm the one that was high on these two being together. I'm like, man, these two could be a killer women. They could be the most dominant female tag team in the division.
Right. You know, you would hope. I mean, I don't know their schedules, right? So I mean, I just don't know how many nights you're working and stuff. But you would think the days or nights you're not working, you would at least go train. You know, you have access to the ring and kind of just would, you know, Nia being Nia, so you would think you'd try to work out as much as you possibly could. And, you know, Lash just, you know, you would think you'd kind of try to gel, you know, and stuff like that. You would hope she's not, you know, you hope she's not rubbing off on her.
Right. And before we end the podcast, I want to go over and talk a little bit about tomorrow night's card. But before we get there, yesterday, the day before yesterday, I interviewed a friend of mine, the Silverback Joe Helms, and I had a guy who trained him, who was a former WWE talent, Terry Zeller, on. And when I asked I asked Terry this question, I said, "What would you tell the young talent right now?" And his answer was, don't open your mouth backstage unless you're asking questions. Pay attention and watch. And what came to my mind, especially right now, as we're, you're saying what you were saying about you would hope they're all training, was I don't remember what WWE legend came out and said this, but they said that today's talent is so different because instead of being around the monitors watching the matches, or talking to the veterans to try to make themselves better, get advice, they're on their phones, they're on TikTok, or they're doing this and they're doing that. Do you think that could be a lot of the problem for some of these younger talents that has all the potential in the world, but we see things like we've seen tonight with Lash Legend and even Javon Evans to a degree?
Yeah, I mean, that's today's society. I mean, you know, I don't know how it is in Minnesota or whatever, but it's, you know, you go out to dinner and it starts with parents and all of them, you know, you see two kids, the parents, they're all on their phones, no interaction, no nothing. And I mean, that's your crutch or whatever. That's what I mean. I remember, you know, a couple months ago for my wife's birthday, we went to a real nice upstanding restaurant. And as we were leaving, there was a mother and two daughters. All three of them were on, you know, and the daughters were probably like 5 and 7. And I mean, all three of them, the mom, the daughters, all on phones, you know, and it's just, you kind of wanted to stop and go, wouldn't you try to interact with your kids? I mean, it just, you know, what's so important, you know?
Right.
I mean, are you, you know, I don't know about your kids, but okay, are you running your business? You know, checking your work? This is a Sunday though, you know, and it's just, I just think that from these kids are just being brought up at a young age on, you know, social media and with their phones, you know, here, I don't want to deal with you at dinner. So here, you know, here's my phone, here's my lap, you know, here little iPad or whatever. And I just think it's, you know, kind of ruined. And now that's what these guys, you know, now you started at an early age, and that's what like where we grew up, we didn't have that stuff.
Right. You know, my kids did not have a phone until they were about 16 years old. My kids were not allowed to be on social media until they were adults. They made that decision, and they still they're on it, but they're not on it because I didn't allow it, and I instilled that in them. They actually interact with people. Can you imagine that?
Right.
Let's talk about tomorrow night's Saturday night main event. Again, John Cena's final match. This is the cards now. I hope that the card that I pulled up is not the actual order of tomorrow night, because if it is, I have to ask myself, what in the actual fuck's going on? Because it starts off with John Cena versus Gunther. This is John Cena's retirement match, and we've talked about this a couple of times. What is your prediction between these two tomorrow night?
Gunther's probably going over. Like I said, I mean, not a Cena fan, but I'd rather see Cena go out on top, you know, just because that for what he, how long the longevity and everything,
Right.
See him go out on top. It isn't, I don't think it's going to hurt Gunther at all. That you can figure out a way to put him over that still makes Gunther strong.
Yeah, I think WWE, they added that extra layer now of will John Cena tap out or not. So for me, believe it or not, my interest isn't even will John Cena win or lose. Now my whole thing is
he going to tap out? Right. Yeah. See that. You don't, like I said, not a Cena fan, but you definitely wouldn't want to see him tap out on the way.
Well, no, they ruined it though, because to me, that's pretty much giving away the show, that match.
Right. And that may happen
over, because there's no way he's tapping out. There's no way. But I tell you what, if he does tap out, kudos to WWE, because you're going to swerve just about every fan in professional wrestling.
Right.
Then now the next match, as it is on this card, is Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, versus Obafemi, NXT's champion. I do not see Obafemi winning this match, man.
No, but I mean, belts aren't on the line, are they?
No.
Okay. But if you're thinking about bringing Obafemi up, and they can pull this match off, may not be a bad thing to put Obafemi over. Same thing. You could figure out how to put him over without making Cody look weak or whatever, and just make it a fluke or just whatever.
Right. But I tell you want to start a good storyline, and why you're bringing Obafemi over is, think about this. Think about Cody Rhodes does go over. He beats Obafemi. Obafemi goes back to NXT. He puts his title on the line, and he drops the title. Obviously, he dropped the title before they bring to the main roster, right? So he drops that title, and now the storyline is Obafemi is after Cody Rhodes for Cody's title, because Cody got into Obafemi's head, and because of Cody Rhodes, he lost his title. So now he's coming after Cody Rhodes, and that's the first storyline you put him into on the main roster.
Makes sense.
Fucking Triple H, send me a paycheck, man.
Right, there you go.
Next, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater. I believe it or not, I think AJ Styles and Dragon Lee is going to lose.
You think so?
I do. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
2 times we've seen Javon Evans on the main roster. Well, no, actually, never mind. I forgot. He actually beat The Miz tonight.
Right.
So If you're going according to Wrestling Rules 101, Javon Evans, then no AJ Styles and Dragon Lee is going to win because Javon Evans stood tall tonight as the winner. So he's going to lose tomorrow night against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee with Leon Slater.
I think it'll be a great match. I think that because
I think it has the potential. I think it has the potential to steal the show if Javon Evans can shake whatever's going on with him outside of NXT.
I think he'll be fine because he's got I think he's more used to having tag team, and it could be the same, like you said, being comfortable in NXT. So I would see this having a lot of false finishes where you kind of leave you wondering, wow, could they go over and stuff? Right. But still, I think that AJ and Dragon will keep their title.
Yeah. Next is, and if you're going according to how they have the card, and I got this from WWE, this would be the main event. And again, I hope this is not the case. Bayley versus Sol Ruca in a singles match. I think Sol Ruca is going over 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they're probably getting ready to bring Sol Ruca up. So I would think you're going to put her over Bayley.
Right. You want to talk about someone that would look good and to be someone that's actual threat to Jade Cargill? It'd be Sol Ruca.
Yes. I mean, she has all the talent in the world. Just the stuff that she has been able to do. You see, there are Tiffany Stratton and certain people, they're amazing with their moves and stuff. But Sol has, I've never seen anybody do the combination of moves like her.
Right.
So she's just, the stuff she's able to do, she's just that one step above everybody else. With everything that she's just very talented. I mean, and I love Tiffany to death. And Charlotte, and EO and stuff like that. I just think that Sol's just a little bit more natural, and the stuff that she does is just, just that one step above.
Yeah, I can't argue that. Did I miss something? So there's only four matches tomorrow night? Was that it?
I think so.
Wow.
But I think I know you're not a Bayley fan, but I actually think that match has the potential to be a very good match too.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm not a Bayley fan. Matter of fact, and nothing against Sol Ruca, because I agree with you. She's so goddamn talented, but because of Bayley being in this match, I think this should be the intermission match. To be honest with you, get your popcorn and use the bathroom match.
Now, I'm gonna ask a question here. Did you see Bayley going through the airport when she had the hugger thing and she didn't give you a hug, and that's why you don't like Bayley?
No, nor would I have wanted a hug from Bayley. Nope. She's talented. I'm not going to take that away from her. She's just not my style of a wrestler at all. I mean, she's fine in the ring. She deserves all the flowers in the world. She's a future Hall of Famer. I would never take any of those things away from her.
Right.
Just not my style.
Right. I mean, you look at some of the people, though, that they have released, where they had stuff going, where they were, and then they just kind of dropped it. NXT or, WWE, you look and dropping Shotzi, you dropped Gigi Dolan. The other, you kind of thought they were going to do it, and I'm drawing a blank. She had the black hair with purple.
Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, but they were kind of pushing her in a storyline, and all of a sudden the storyline quit and out she went. But she was one of their top people in NXT. But I mean, more so Shotzi, because Shotzi was on the the main roster. Gigi Dolan was very talented. Now you had Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum Paxley, and now you took those two away. And I mean, it's just, you wonder, why they let certain people go where those people, were over and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. Now, what's funny about Billy is this. I think because we've all said that Billy should be taken off for a long time, completely repackaged to be brought back to WWE. The problem with that is I think Billy is in a place that I don't think that she could ever be repackaged for WWE. I just don't. But I think that if Billy went to an AEW, I think that she could be repackaged on an AEW. And I think that she could be a huge star for AEW if they did it right. I just think that she's been with WWE way too long for them to actually repackage her and for the fans to buy it. I think I think that's the only way. The only way Billy could truly be repackaged. And look, if that happens, she goes to AEW, they repackage her, she gets over by the fans because it's a totally different promotion, right? They're booked her correctly. At that point, I think if she came back to WWE, it'd work out for her as far as being something new. Otherwise, I just don't think there's any way of repackaging Billy. I mean, we kind of seen them try to do it with the voices shit.
Right. Well, and I mean, but you think they repackaged her that she was the hugger. Now we took the hugger away and we did the damage control. Now, to me, that was her best, the damage control stuff. But you also had EO and you had Dakota Kai. And then we went to the Bailey that was, or maybe that was the one that was she the one that was degrading before? So she was before damage control.
Yep.
So you had her where she was, the heel, just everybody was an idiot and stuff like that. And then you brought her back into damage control. And now you're doing the voices thing. So you've tried every angle, there's really no other way to kind of to try to repackage her, because you've done the angles and there's, whatever. They'd probably come up with an angle, but it's just not going to go over.
Yeah, I think there's certain things that, and it's not just WWE, any promotion. I think there's certain things that they do to someone's character and it doesn't work. I think at that point, there's nothing more they could do. And I think it does take leaving and going somewhere else for a while to repackaging yourself to come up with your, what you need to be and then come back. And for fans who thinks I'm crazy, look at Cody Rhodes, right? Look at Matt Cardona. Now he's not been back to WWE with the exception of during this the tournament thing. But I assure you, if WWE brought Matt Cardona back as Matt Cardona, oh my God, dude, I think it would be huge for him, right? Sometimes it takes actually having to leave that promotion and going somewhere different to reestablish yourself and then come back to hit that level of success. And
the other one that did that was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, Drew as well. Drew as well.
And who was the other? Well, the guy that was with Drew. But when he repackaged himself. He came back great shape. I mean, what's his name? Singh or whatever.
Satnam Singh, something like that.
Yeah, he was with them in the 3-man band or whatever. And he had his run for that short period of time, but he looked great.
World title.
Yeah. So, I mean, he looked great, though. I mean, he, busted his ass, came back, different repackaged. They just, again, didn't know, even though he was repackaged, they didn't know how to run with them. They did a little bit and it just kind of fell flat.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. But all right, well, that wraps up this episode of Get Your Mail Rung, a Pro Wrestling Podcast Friday Night SmackDown recap. We will be back. It'll be me and the Grizzle Vet back tomorrow night to talk about Saturday Night Main Event and John Cena's final match. Lots of things I'm sure we're going to have to talk about. Are they going to let John have a pretty lengthy goodbye tomorrow night after the match?
Well, can I jump in on that one first? Okay. I have a feeling he's going to get a lot more mic time than Goldberg.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing why. well, and probably a big reason is he came up through WWE, WWF, whatever. Goldberg was with the competitor. So, I think somebody in the back went, he was with WCW, cut his mic.
Yeah, look, Goldberg, and no one will ever convince me any differently. Goldberg was WCW, right?
Yes.
He was part of the enemy back during the Monday Night Wars. Yeah, he came in a little bit with WWE afterwards, but I will never ever believe that WWE ever intended to treat this guy like this massive star to the point that they were going to give him this massive celebration and goodbye when he retired. Not at all. John Cena, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that, he's going to have a lot more than what Goldberg did. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. But he was their, he's like, played for one team. He was their guy. He was that big star in the minor leagues and came up and, just was that star all the way through, stayed with one team for that whole run. So,
yeah, absolutely. He was almost, well, the only other guy I can think of that was similar was Sting. Sting was WCW, NWA, all of his career,
right.
with the exception of the couple of times he finally went to WWE, and then he has official retirement with AEW. But yeah, John Cena is, he is the golden child for WWE. He is that guy. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. So yeah, guys, please subscribe to the podcast. Check us out tomorrow night. Find out what we thought about Saturday night's main event. Did we love it? Did we hate it? Did we just think it was okay? Did it meet the hype that's out there? Find out again with me and the Grizzle Vet tomorrow night, and we'll give you our honest opinion. Until then, you guys have a great night. Robbie, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.